Filippo Dionghi. He's Senior Lecturer in Politics and International Relations at the University of Bristol. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Filippo. We've heard from our correspondents in both Jerusalem and Tehran. The big question, how do you think Israel is going to retaliate and what happens next?
I think it's impossible to make safe predictions at this point. The situation has been evolving constantly for the past 11 months, and especially in the past couple of weeks has become particularly difficult to make prediction. Israel has escalated massively against Lebanon at this point. Iran has, as we've just seen, decided to retaliate and respond to those attacks, especially in revenge, as they claim, for the assassination of Hezbollah's Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah and for the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of the political bureau of Hamas. What's going to happen next, therefore, is difficult to say. Whether Israel will proceed in an escalatory trajectory and therefore decide to attack and respond to Iran in such a way that, again, may provoke a further reaction from Iran again, or whether perhaps will turn again its attention to the Lebanese front, which against today has also witnessed a major developments with regard to the possibility, the threat, and possibly the reality of a ground invasion of the Lebanese territory. So all options are on the table. There is the Lebanese front. There is a possibility of further attack against Iran. And again, let us never forget about the fact that the Gaza situation is obviously still going on and is extremely harsh for its consequences for the people of Gaza too.
And Filippo, all sides urging restraint, describing this as a serious escalation. Are we effectively at the start of an all-out regional war?
I think at this point, the possibility of an all-out war is becoming increasingly likely. We were hoping for this not to happen. So far, the kind of warfare that we witnessed between Hezbollah and Israel and Iran and Israel was somewhat balanced and self-restrained, although it had some peak of tensions. For example, when Israel has targeted the consulate in Damascus, the Iranian consulate in Damascus on the 1st of April, and the response that this has produced, and also when Israel has attacked the military and political leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas, both in Lebanon and in Tehran, as we saw before, right? So that kind of dynamic was still relatively contained, also because Iran has always said that it was not interested in engaging in a major war. And instead, Israel has kept provoking and increasing and raising the stakes of this conflict up until today, when Iran has in fact engaged to an unprecedented extent against Israel. And that has produced, again, the possibility that this may become an all-out war at a regional level. I should say that the latest declaration that we saw from the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, on social media is also a declaration that, yes, is claiming the responsibility and calling this an act of defense and revenge against Israel, but is also claiming that that's where it can stop. So there is actually ground there for a form of de-escalation from both sides. And the hope is that this may happen.
Yes, he described this attack as decisive, as you say. The US, meanwhile, it's vowing to continue to stand by Israel, its closest ally. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's not heeding calls for restraint, though. So where does the US go from here?
Well, the US was involved even in the defense response that Israel has launched against the Iranian attack itself. And there is no question that the US will remain closely in support of Israel and Israeli defense, of course. Benjamin Netanyahu has been a political figure at this point that show total unrestraint in its military initiative at this point, and it continues to do so. And this is also because for the past 11 months, almost 12 months at this point, It hasn't faced any form of sanction or limitation from its own allies, notwithstanding the fact that at least nominally they were claiming that they didn't want the escalation to proceed, they didn't want to conflict to expand. Their measures at the diplomatic level were never really sufficiently forceful to, in fact, force Netanyahu to restrain its military initiative in the region. With the result that now Netanyahu and Netanyahu's government, the Israeli government, feels empowered and somewhat like indirectly authorized to undertake any kind of initiative they feel like, and that's what they're doing, and that's what I think is also most dangerous. The Israeli government feels unrestrained and capable of operating without limitations, and that's also the kind of mindset that may lead them to further escalate and therefore precipitate the region into a regional all-out war.
Filippo, thank you so much for your insight. Thanks for joining us this evening. That's Filippo Dionigi, Senior Lecturer in Politics and International Relations at the UK-based University of Bristol. Describing the missile attack as defeated and ineffective, the White House said it represented nonetheless a